I want to go to the leaders, the individual leaders from last weekend in the NFL by passing yards and by rushing yards. And I will make the case, Kerry, that this is what it is almost every week. There are exceptions, like you guys losing against the spread every once in a while. But there are exceptions. But look at this week's individual performers. And if you go to the individual performers and you see that 4 out of the top passing quarterbacks by passing yards, 4 out of the 5 top quarterbacks all did that performance. And here it is: Matthew Stafford, Christian Ponder, Dan Orlovsky, and Eli Manning. Only Aaron Rodgers, when it goes by passing yards, won their games. Yet when you look at the rushing performances, the top 5 rushing performances, all 5 of the top 5 rushers won their games.
Well,
so what does that tell us?
Well, it tells us a lot. One, passing yards are almost irrelevant in football. We talk about this all the time. And the great historic example, the last quarterback to win a championship and lead the NFL in passing yards was Johnny Unitas in 1959. So you have to go back over a half century to find that. And, you know, we track this week in and week out. Right now, not just last week, but all season, teams who pass for more yards, Butch, 85 and 106. They haven't even won 45% of NFL games. So really have those big passing days like Cam Newton his first couple weeks, 400 yards each. People were all excited, but he lost both games.
Of all the NFL games this year, teams that pass for more yards have only won 85.
85
and the
of
other teams won
106 games.
So flipping it around, the teams that have passed for less yards have won the 106.
But what you find, though, the NFL is all about passing efficiency. Teams that are more efficient passing the football win games. And just looking at it right now, I mean, don't know it off the top of my head right yet, Butch, but teams higher in what we call real quarterback rating, 170 and 21. If your quarterback is more efficient than the opposing quarterback, you've won almost 90% of all NFL games.
Okay, so for our quality stats segment, let's talk about a rushing stat. Because, again, these are the individual performances. And I think I know where you're going to lead us. You're going to lead us that, it was great for Ray Rice to rush for over 200 yards, but it's more about how many times they've rushed the ball and the fact that they're actually rushing the ball.
Well, attempts play a big part. You do want to rush the ball often. You want to pass the ball efficiently and rush the ball often. But in terms of rushing, what we have in rusher rating, Butch, it looks at efficiency. It doesn't look at that total volume. While it's good to rush for more yards, it's really great to have a higher average per attempt, to be more efficient, not to fumble. And what rusher rating does, it takes into account kind of all the factors in passer rating, turnovers, touchdowns, average per attempt, and puts a formula around it for running backs, because just looking at the pure volume doesn't tell you a whole lot.
So what does rusher rating tell you exactly? What is your stat?
It's basically like passer rating. It takes into account your average per attempt, your number of attempts, your touchdown percentage, and your fumble percentage. Great example in 2010, guy Ben Jarvis Green Ellis plays for the Patriots. A lot of people around the country never heard of him. He was number 2 in the NFL in rusher rating because he had a decent average per attempt, did not fumble the ball once. So there were guys who were bigger name running backs who fumbled 3 or 4 times, and that dropped them down the list. And most analysts don't, they dismiss those fumbles like they never happened, and we want to look at those.
And not to go off on a tangent, but it's sort of the reason, or one of the reasons Tim Tebow is rated so high. He doesn't throw picks.
Doesn't throw picks, and he doesn't fumble the ball. He actually had a fumble this week, but he's had now 2 fumbles this year, 3 total turnovers, and that's kind of the statistical secret to his success. He has one of the lowest turnover rates, Butch, in the history of football.